The scariest story from Reddit about a stranger on the doorstep. You won't fall asleep after that. I have a few paranormal events that happened all throughout my life. Most of them were pretty tame. But there is one that got to me and still sticks with me today. About 4 years ago, I was ending my freshman year at college. I had lived in the dorms with a kick-ass roommate and pretty much had a great experience altogether. Towards the end of my last semester, something seemed different in my hall of the dorms. We were all still our lively selves, but just walking into the dorms would give you this massive feeling of dread. We all wrote it off as the stress of finals approaching, but it just felt off. Well, one night after studying, I decide to hit the shower so I can just wake up and make my way to class in a few hours. Before I keep going, I should go ahead and set the layout of our hall and the bathroom. Our hall was one of many halls on a single floor. Each hall had 4 rooms that accommodated 2 people each, or a single room for the RAs. The entrance to the halls were massive steel doors with a small window at one end, and across from it was the bathroom. It seriously felt like a prison block rather than a living quarter for college students. As for the bathroom itself, when you walked in, you were immediately met with 2 sets of sinks with massive mirrors facing each other. Then past that, you had your 2 urinals and a toilet stall on your left, and 2 showers on your right. When facing the left set of sinks, you can clearly see into the showers from the mirror if the door is open. And in the right set of sinks, you can see the reflection of the shower. The door of the bathroom was identical to the entrance to the hall, a massive steel frame with a small window that didn't allow for much of a view. The door was propped open with a giant wooden wedge. So back to the story. I'm all alone in the bathroom gearing up to go shower. I throw my change of clothes on the right side sink so that way I can reach around the stall and grab them. Once I set my stuff down, I happen to look up into the mirror and I can see in the distance something almost shimmering inside the shower stall. As I look at it, I notice that it slowly gets closer, like it's jumping from the furthermost layer to the next layer closer. I'm kind of unsettled, but I don't think much of it other than me coming down off of a massive Red Bull, Adderall, and caffeine kick. But it starts transitioning faster. As it gets closer, I can start making out details, but nothing vivid or striking. It's just a dark mass that looks like it's covered in hair. At this point, I'm freaking out hardcore since this thing is getting closer in the mirror and I'm pretty much frozen to this one spot. As it gets to the 4th layer, I get the closest look at this thing I'll ever get, and I regret every minute of it. It wasn't hair, but some kind of long flowing veil. You could see through it partially, but from the torso down it was just solid black. And the face, I can't describe it. It was clearly human, but at the same time it was so far removed. There were eyes, they were black, but definitely glowing somehow. I only saw this for maybe a second at the most, but it's burned into my mind forever. Then the lights cut out and I hear the door slam. It's pitch black in the bathroom, so I can't see this thing anymore. I go to open the door, but it won't budge. And then this intense smell of blood hits me out of nowhere. And that's all I remember. I woke up later in the hospital. From what my Ra claims, he was on his way to go use the bathroom sometime after this happened, where he found me in the shower stall, with my shirt covered in blood from a massive nosebleed. He tried asking me what happened, and according to him, all I could respond with was it saw me, and I start freaking out. So he calls an ambulance and they get me to the hospital. All the while I'm apparently freaking out, so they sedate me to get me to calm down. I'm coming to around the time my parents show up, worried sick of course. I ask them what happened, and according to the doctors, they believe I had a seizure. However, they ran CAT scans soon after I was cooperative enough to do so and found no sign of any seizure occurring. Not to mention, epilepsy doesn't run in my family at all. And having taken Adderall countless times in the past and since then, I've never had a similar side effect, neither hallucinations or potential seizures. To this day, I still can't bring myself to look into a mirror for more than a minute, and just being stuck in a room with one for an extended period will just cause me to break down. I've been to therapy going on 3 years because of this, and I've talked to countless religious leaders who, besides giving me the general "well, you should turn to God in times like these" talks, don't recognize that kind of pattern as anything demonic or evil. And the strangest thing is that before that incident, there were no actual claims of activity in those dorms, and since I left, there hasn't been any either. It was just that one isolated incident. He arrived in a black car. And that's when our nightmare began. This will probably get buried, but I've never told anyone this. Now is as good a time as any, I suppose. When I was about 8 to 9, we lived in a house that my father built for us in the middle of nowhere, Indiana. My parents owned a small business that often brought clients to our remote little homestead, and over the years, we met some rather odd people. One such person was a strange man that gave me the heebie-jeebies as soon as I saw him. He arrived at our home in a black car with tinted windows, wearing all black, with a black hat and dark sunglasses. His demeanor was very strange, and he was very interested in our black Persian cat named Mercedes. Nevertheless, he left after his consultation with my parents, but later at dinner, everyone admitted that he set them on edge. That night, Mercedes came down very ill. A few days later, after an illness the local vet couldn't diagnose, that included the cat vomiting up gobs of what appeared to be black tar, Mercedes died. In her final moments, she would swat and hiss at something in the air. I'll never forget the chill I got when she took her last breath. After this, many strange things began happening around our home. We'd find footprints in the snow that started and stopped out of nowhere. Noises in the middle of the night. The wallpaper would be torn halfway off the walls. My mother, who has always been somewhat of a sensitive person, claimed to start seeing demonic creatures around the house and became rather withdrawn. I had asthma, but had been a long while without an attack. Soon after all of this began happening, I started having episodes again. I was very sick one night, so I slept on the floor next to my mother's side of the bed in my parents' bedroom. Under their bed and around there were a bunch of boxes, family photos, wrapping paper, etc., things that we'd been meaning to store elsewhere. In the middle of the night, I had a particularly bad asthma attack. I heard my mother wake up screaming get away from her, and trying to get to me. Every box from under the bed and around the room had been stacked between where I lay on the floor and my mother's side of the bed, preventing her from getting to me. She finally reached me and gave me my inhaler, and she cried all night. She never told me what she saw that night, but strange things continued to happen for several more months. We had the house blessed and tried everything we could. Eventually, the activity started to slow. My brother and his family live in the house now, and they hear unexplainable sounds every so often, but nothing like what happened that winter. I grew up to be quite a skeptic, but I still can't explain what happened that year. I just tell myself it was all in our heads. She never watched movies about possession, and the reason will chill you. I'll share mine. It didn't actually happen to me, but it happened to my mom when she was a teenager. My mom now is in her mid-60s. She's not an overly religious woman. She doesn't read the Bible regularly, rarely goes to church, but she prays every night cause that is what gives her comfort. I watched normal horror movies with her sometimes, nothing too crazy, but spooky. Once I asked if she wanted to watch The Exorcist. She flat out refused, saying there was no way she'd ever watch anything related to possession or exorcisms. Later, when I showed her the trailer for Constantine, she saw the possessed girl crawling on the ceiling, and refused again. Another thing, she will absolutely kick you out of her house if you even mention bringing a Ouija board. She scream, yell, and curse until you drop the subject. That's how seriously she takes it. This was important to understand why. One day I asked her the real reason behind this fear. That's when she told me the story of what happened to her as a teenager. At a sleepover with friends, she played what she thought was just a board game. She had never seen it before. Turns out, it was a Ouija board. They started asking questions, and it seemed like a spirit was present in the house. So, they asked it to show itself. At first, nothing happened. Then suddenly, every light in the house went out, including the TV. Moments later, everything flicked back on. Trying again, they asked, "Who are you?" The planchette moved in circles, then slowly spelled out, D-D-V-I-L. At first, they thought someone was pushing it. To test, they demanded, "If you are the devil, show yourself." This time, the TV shut off, and in its reflection, everyone in the room, even the parents, saw the dark outline of something terrifying, just sitting there beside them. The air grew icy cold. Suddenly, loud noises erupted from the kitchen, cupboards slamming, objects flying from the refrigerator. Horrified, they stopped the game, closed it up, and threw it in the trash, vowing never to play again. But that night, my mom woke up to a new horror. From above the roof came the sound of chains dragging, and what seemed like dogs running across it. At first, She thought it must have been outside. But the sounds were too close, directly above them. The next morning, shaken, she asked her friend's parents if neighbors had dogs. They said no, and admitted they, too, heard the dogs and chains on the roof that night. That was the moment my mom became convinced of what they had summoned. And that is why my mom refuses to watch anything involving exorcisms. She truly believes the devil was there with them that night, sitting only a few feet away. Every time she tells me the story, I get the same chill down my spine. Because I know, deep down, she isn't making it up.